and then we'll get going. Okay, well, it is, Zoe, it's bang on 4 o'clock for me, which means it's bang on 7 o'clock for you. So we've got some people coming in the room and we're live streaming. So I think if you're ready, I think we'll get going.
I'm ready.
All right, so welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Dr. Deirdre Pickrell. I'm the Dean of Student Success at Yorkville University in the Toronto Film School, and on behalf of the Student Success team, I am very pleased to welcome you to tonight's session, Healthy Habits and Lifestyle Management in the Arts. As we begin, we acknowledge that the land Yorkville University operates on in British Columbia, where I am located, is the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples of the Kakite and Coquitlam First Nations. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. Our speaker today, Zoe and I have already had a great chat, is Zoe Glover, an honors graduate of Toronto Film School, class of 2018. Zoe's going to share a bit more about herself and her story in just a minute. There will be time for questions at the end, but feel free to engage with me during the chat. I'm not going to interrupt Zoe. She's got a whole slew of information that she's going to share, but you will be able to ask questions at the end. And I see we actually already have some stuff in the Q&A and in the chat. I think this is going to be a popular session, Zoe. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my presentation on healthy habits and lifestyle management in the arts. So I'm going to start off by kind of talking about myself and also figuring out how computers work. There we go. So I am Zoe Devereaux-Glover. I am from Port Hope, Ontario, where I grew up. I was homeschooled and I spent a lot of my time growing up in the arts. My dad is a painter, so we spent about 3 or 4 months of the year traveling across Canada. And then the rest of the time I was doing community theater, taking drama camps, working with coaches. And then I eventually started teaching the drama camps. And then I went to the Peterborough Integrated Arts Program, which is a high school in Peterborough through Thomas A. Stewart. And with this program, you kind of pick a major and a minor. So I did theater as my major, and then I double minored in dance and visual art. So I kind of know a few different angles of the arts. Health was never really a big part of this. Focusing on my mental health was never really a big part of this. And then after high school, I ended up at Toronto Film School, which was a couple of the best years of my life. Met some amazing people, worked with so many amazing faculty members. And then I graduated in 2018 in December. And I immediately went to Mohawk College in Hamilton for health, wellness, and fitness, which is a diploma program. And here I kind of realized that, so I chose this program because I wanted a day job that would kind of be different and support what I was doing, support me chasing my dreams, and be on my own schedule, right? So when you're a personal trainer, you're working one-on-one with clients, you're making your own schedule, you can move people around if you have an audition. So that was kind of my initial thought going into it. But through that 2 years, I realized that this entire program was just making me a better artist. And the more that I spent time focusing on my health and my wellness and my mental health, the more that started to reflect in my art and reflect through my acting. So that's where it led me to kind of coming up with this concept for this webinar and that I wanted to share with everybody. So now I am still a working actor. I'm represented by Glen Talent Management in Toronto and Montreal. I also manage Actors Imagination Studio, and I own my own coaching business. So I do personal training and health coaching on the side. And I still do that whole moving people around for auditions that I was originally aiming for. So this whole webinar is kind of based on my own journey, my own reflection, and just what I went through and realizing that I wish I had known a lot of these things in school when I was still working on becoming an actor, when I was still in Toronto Film School. So I wanted to share them with you. So today we're going to be talking about building healthy habits, what that looks like, a few of mine. I'm going to use a lot of examples here. And remember that everybody's different. So my examples might not necessarily work for everybody. But I hope that my examples inspire you to find your own, or maybe a few of mine do cross over to you. We're also going to talk about the 7 pillars of wellness, which is kind of a way to break everything down, look at things from a different perspective, and kind of give you a broader idea of what wellness is and what wellness means. And then we're going to look at my 3 favorite tools, and Deirdre's going to love this. So jumping right into it. Health, wellness, and the arts. What is the tie? So I've kind of mentioned it a little bit, but artists are stressed out a lot of the time. We focus on creating more than we focus on ourselves. And there's a lot of different stressors for artists and for people in any industry that is related to the arts. So I've made a little list of them. Obviously, there are a lot more, but these are some really common ones. You know, we're auditioning all the time, which is stressful in itself, going to an audition, doing a self-tape, but then so is waiting for the audition, so is waiting after the audition. We're writing grant proposals, and we don't have usual schedules. We're up late for rehearsals. We're up really early. Last night I was at a rehearsal until almost midnight and then had to be up at 5 this morning to train clients, right? So there's no kind of 9 to 5 regulated schedule that we can focus on that keeps our sleep patterns the same, that maybe keeps our workout patterns the same, right? And we're waiting for applications. We also, a lot of the time, have side hustles or day jobs, you know, while we're working on building our craft, building that career that we're working on. Some of us work in cafes. I did when I was at TFS, I worked in a coffee shop, and that was definitely stressful. You know, you're trying to pull overnighters, and then you're trying to deal with cranky people who want coffee all day. It's not the best. It's not the best for your mental health to be dealing with that, right? So there's also industry slow times, looking for coaches, trying to afford coaches. So many different things that are constantly causing stress, as well as just the stress that we put into creating, right? So I'm going to share with you 2 quotes today to start us off. This is one of my favorites, Twyla Tharp. It's from her book. So she says, over time, as the daily routines become second nature, discipline morphs into habit. Okay, so I'm going to say that one more time. Over time, as the daily routines become second nature, discipline morphs into habit. So by building these tiny habits, these little things that make us happy, taking tiny little steps to work on our mental health or our physical health or whatever it may be, that eventually just becomes habitual. It becomes part of your lifestyle. Also, takes 2 weeks. Just a fact. Takes about 2 weeks to build a habit. And I think that that's an important thing to remember if you're working towards building a habit, if you're trying to integrate something into your life, that you need to be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. I'm probably going to say that 100 times in the next hour, is be kind to yourself. Okay? My second quote of the night, if you've gone to Toronto Film School or you work at Toronto Film School and you know Andrew Moody, this is a quote from Andrew Moody in my 5th term class that stuck with me, and I say to myself probably 3 to 5 times a week still. And that was, he said, after every audition, throw away your sides and buy yourself a cupcake. And I may have paraphrased this over the last 3 years. I don't know. Hopefully he's not in this webinar, scolding me from the silent Zoom. But this is something that has just become a mantra to me. And I have to credit him for that. So emotional wellness. So this is going to be the first of the 7 pillars of wellness that we're going to talk about. So emotional wellness means you're feeling, so your emotions, we all know what emotions are: happy, sad. And I do want to, you don't always have to be happy. I'm going to say this a couple times as well tonight. There is such a thing as toxic positivity. And that's not necessarily what you want. You want to be emotionally intelligent. You want to be kind of in touch with how you're feeling. You want to listen and respond to how you're feeling. Maybe you're having a bad day. You don't need to force yourself to be happy. You need to listen and give yourself what you need in that situation. And remembering that emotional wellness looks so different for everybody. You know, what makes me happy or what makes me sad could be completely different from you, from the next person, right? So stress is also a big key point here. So there's 2 different types of stress. So there's eustress and de-stress. So we know that de-stress, you're distressed, right? You're injured, you're upset, something is happening there. It's a negative kind of stress you don't want. And then there's eustress. Eustress is a positive type of stress. So I'm going to use physical exercise as an example here. So when you go to the gym, for most people, that's a positive stress. You're lifting a weight, your body is undergoing a lot of stress to do that, but you're gaining so much from it. You're learning so much. Your neurons are developing, your bone density is increasing. It's a positive stress because you're growing from it. So just finding kind of the differentiating between those 2 and learning what those mean for you, right? And same with feelings being different for different people. Stress can be different for different people. You hear people say that they love late nights. They love to be, on set. And a lot of people do in this industry, right? You love to be on set. You love to be kind of that high energy. Where is everything? What are we doing? Like, everything needs to happen right now. People thrive under that. And then some people don't. So just learn yourself. Talk to yourself. Relationships fall under emotional wellness. So this, not necessarily romantic relationships, could be a relationship to your mentor, to your friend, to your parent, to your sibling. And understanding love languages. I'm sure that a lot of people have heard of love languages. There's, physical touch, acts of service. There's a few different ones, and that could be an entirely different webinar on its own. But I just want to say that you should find out what the people in your life need. Find out what they respond to so that you can give them that. And then the same goes the other way. Tell people what you need. Tell people how you need to be treated in a certain situation. Have that conversation with people. For example, last week, my friend was having a really terrible day. And she and I have this kind of open, she was in the same program as me. So we both kind of know this conversation needed to happen. And she came over and she said, at this moment, I need you to hug me for a really long time. And then I need you to just sit next to me and not talk. And I just need to sit with you. And that's what she needed. And my initial thought would have been to go buy her something or to go out and try to talk her down. And that's just not what she needed at that point, because people respond differently. And then understanding your own love language, not even just for other people, but for yourself. So if I'm having a bad day, I know that I need acts of service. So I'm not feeling great. I really need support at this moment. How can I support myself? So I will go and put my dishes away. I'll fold laundry. I'll do something for future Zoe, because then future Zoe will be happier. So I have some examples here. I'm not going to read all of these out because this is my list, but I encourage everybody to make a list, physically write it down. What are some small things that make you happy? What are big things that make you happy? So for me, I have, reading, I have watching a movie, I have kayaking, I have going to the beach. I live in the beaches. I'm going to get myself a treat. So these are things that I can use on a daily basis. I have this physical list here that I know I can turn to if I'm not feeling great that day. There's an author and actress, Gabrielle Stone, and she talks about in one of her books, it's a self-help book, kind of a memoir on her own journey. she talks about how she makes a self-love cocktail. And so she has this list, and she treats this list as her ingredients. And so every day, if she's having kind of a rough moment, or she just feels like she needs a little bit extra love, she'll make herself a self-love cocktail with the ingredients. So mine might be, in this case, I might get cozy. I might put on a hoodie, read a book, and maybe put a movie on or listen to music. I'm making myself that kind of perfect little situation, or that self-love cocktail that's going to help my mental health. So I'm going to end each one of the 7 pillars with a question for you, which can also be used as a journaling prompt if you want one. So what is one thing that you can do today that will make you happy? And I actually want you to take 30 seconds right now while I'm moving on to the next slide. I want you to either write this down, take a screenshot, put it in the chat, tell a friend, just think on it, reflect on it. What is one little thing that you can do today that will make you happy? For me, I'm gonna go take a bath after this. That's my plan. It's gonna calm me down. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna put bubbles in there. I'm gonna love it. So just take a second, think about it. What's one thing that would make you happy today? Okay, so moving on to physical. So physical health, physical wellness, our bodies, right? Especially as artists, as actors, as dancers, as tech people, if you're on the production side of it, you're holding a boom all day. This is a lot of work. So what are some healthy lifestyle habits that can promote your physical health, your physical wellness? Having a relationship with your doctor is so important. For a long time, I had a doctor that, he was my doctor. I would go there every couple of years. He'd give me a needle of some sort, take some blood, and I'd go home. And that's just not the kind of relationship you need to have with the primary person who is taking care of you, right? So I switched doctors. Now I have a doctor who I can call about anything. I call her when anything weird happens, like Sheila. Love her. And just having that kind of relationship where you can talk to them, where you feel comfortable with them, and getting regular checkups. Go every year, go every 6 months, whatever you feel like you need, take care of yourself. Don't ever let your body not be your priority, right? Because you feel not comfortable going to a doctor. Physical activity. So when we think of physical health, we think gym, running, walking, whatever that is for you. And you don't have to be a gym person. You can just have an active lifestyle. You can go for walks after dinner. You can go kayaking. It's my favorite thing to do in the summer. Nutrition is another point. So this doesn't mean that you need to have a meal plan, count your macros, whatever fitness thing that you think you need to do, you really probably don't, unless you're going for a specific goal. Just making healthy choices, finding a healthy choice. When I'm working with clients, I don't do meal plans. I never take anything away from a client, because that's not healthy. I'm not going to tell you can't eat your favorite food, right? I'm going to maybe suggest that you incorporate more fruit, maybe incorporate more vegetables. Just make some healthier choices if you're eating out at your job every day or eating from a food truck on set. Try to choose the healthier option, right? Vigorous physical activity of some sort should happen at least 2 to 3 times per week. Just based on health guidelines, that is what studies have shown to see the best results for aging, for physical health in general. Drink lots of water and get blood tests. Those are my last 2 points for physical health. Water, base of everything. We're basically cucumbers. Let's keep that hydrated, water the plants, and get blood tests. So, a lot of people take a multivitamin in the morning, but why? What's in that? What are you putting in your body? Do you actually need half of the things that are in that multivitamin? We don't know. So ask your doctor, get a blood test. Seems like such a strange thing to be talking about with wellness, but it is so helpful. So I've also compiled a little list of health professionals here. Feel free to take a picture, write down any that you feel kind of stick out to you. I'm going to kind of point out a few that I think are important. So obviously I already talked about your family doctor. Then you've got the physical aspects like personal trainer, physiotherapists, chiropractors, massage therapists that are going to take care of kind of the structural components, the biomechanics of your body. You've got nutritionists and dietitians, for the internal, therapists, life coaches for the kind of mental aspect, and then also dermatologists and personal care. Like my relationship with my hairdresser is part of my physical wellness. My relationship with my nails, if I was somebody who went and got my nails done all the time, right? That's part of your body. You should be taking care of it. You should be taking care of it in the best way possible. And then obviously I'm a trainer. I could talk about physical health forever. But the three main things you need to think about when focusing on your physical health are working on your cardiovascular health, strength, resistance training of some sort on a weekly basis. That could be resistance bands, that could be yoga, that could be whatever you want it to be, and work on your range of motion, right? We've got all of these cool joints in our bodies. Let's keep them being jointy. We don't want them to stop working. I feel like jointy isn't the scientific word, but I'm going to say it with confidence and you're all going to believe me. Jointy. So, thank you. So my question for this one is, what is your favorite way to move your body, right? We've got, as artists, as actors, we've got clown, we've got movement class where we crawl across the stage like a snake. That's moving your body in a really cool way. You've got yoga, you've got whatever it may be. So what is your favorite way? It doesn't have to be the way you think is best. It's what makes you happy. Just think about that for a second. Write it down, put it in a journal, put it on your phone, wherever you're going to see it. We're moving on to social wellness now. So social wellness is your relationships with other people, right? So how you interact, having healthy interactions, healthy communication and support. You'll notice that a lot of these start to tie in the further into the pillars we get. But this is really the way that we kind of pull everything apart, right? So with social wellness as artists, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to, hang out at cast parties, do all of these kind of maybe unhealthy things in large groups with other people. There was always, when I was doing rehearsals, when I lived back in Peterborough, you'd go out for a drink afterwards, right? But what are some ways that you can find healthy ways to hang out with people that don't involve things that might cause you harm? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go out for a drink with your friends. You should. But what are some other ones you can integrate into your life as well? So these are some that I love to do. I like to have vision board nights with my friends on Friday nights. Sometimes we'll make vision boards, or we have books, and every week we'll make that page of the book, like a sketchbook. We make it into a vision board for the week. At the end of the week, we talk about it, we reflect on it, we work on our goals together, go for walks together. Instead of meeting somebody for a drink or for a coffee or for dessert or whatever, go on a walk with somebody. Instead of just sitting and talking, go talk and walk. You will talk about so many deep things while you are walking with somebody. It is wild. It is amazing. It is meditative. Highly recommend it. And that leads me to spending time outdoors. Through the summer, I spent a lot of time paddle boarding with one of my friends, and that's a really great time. You're staying active, you're staying outdoors. Finding a gym buddy is really great. I have a few. I love to go to the gym with other people. I love the community aspect of it. Having challenges with other people. So if you have, a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, you can program actual little challenges through there where they track all of your things that they track. You can also just track it yourself, set water drinking goals, I'm going to walk this many kilometers this week goals with your friends, and see kind of who can win the challenge. Make it a little competitive. And most importantly, talk about your ideas, talk about your goals, have that kind of relationship with somebody who supports you and motivates you and pushes you. That is the most important thing, I think. So leading into my question, Who is one person who pushes you to be the best version of yourself? And hopefully you have multiple. Hopefully you've surrounded yourself with people who push you and motivate you and support you and are excited about everything that you're doing. But just right now, picture one person's face in your head. You can write down their name if you want to, but just think of one person who really pushes you to be a good version of yourself. So now we're going to talk about environmental health. So a lot of the time when I'm talking about this with clients or I'm doing a consult, people are like, well, how is that my health? That's the environment's health. But there's a huge impact on you. How does the world around you affect you? How do you affect the world around you? That's a big thing. You're in this cool space. Move around in it. Consider your current routine and how it affects you, how you affect it. And think about future you. Future Zoe needs a good planet. So some small ways that you can reduce your environmental impact are, the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, making plant-based food choices or doing a meatless Monday, buying secondhand clothes. Back to the social aspect, you could do a swap party where you bring all the things you don't want anymore and you swap them around for your friend's cool plate that you really wanted, and she gets your shirt that you don't want anymore. Look around at your living situation. Is your home somewhere that you like being? You're in this environment, especially over the last couple of years, you're in this environment all the time, right? So is that something that makes you feel well? Do you feel healthy in this space? And then you can use cool kitchen hacks. You can separate in your kitchen. A soup bucket. It's my favorite thing because it's hilarious to say, so I like telling people about it. So a soup bucket is a big bucket I keep in my fridge, and whenever I have food waste that is like not really waste, but I'm just not going to eat it, like this, throw it in your soup bucket, and when it gets full, boil it, and you have veggie broth. So there's so many cool ways. Research things, read books, listen to podcasts, find cool things like soup buckets that you like, that resonate with you. Do you live somewhere without a lot of windows? Do you live with a lot of roommates? Do you need a happy light, like a vitamin D light? And try to be waste conscious when shopping. So my question for this one, I kind of flew through that one a little bit, but what is one thing that you love to do in nature? So think about that for a moment. One thing that you love to do in nature. I love to walk barefoot in nature. That's one of mine. There's a lot of health benefits to that as well, which is a whole other thing, but just think about that for a moment. One thing that you love in nature. Moving on to occupational and financial wellness. As artists, this one can be a little bit challenging, seeing as our occupation is often the cause of our stress, but also the cause of our happiness. So I just want to start with the question, does your work make you well? Do you feel well after you go to work? Do you feel healthy? Do you feel like you're being impacted by your job, by your finances in a negative way? Have you ever thought about that before? So we've got work, life, school balance. Are you giving enough time to each thing and still concentrating on yourself? Does the work that you do fulfill you? Do you leave work feeling inspired and excited and like you did the thing that you were meant to do on this day? Do the people around you inspire you? You don't have to have a good relationship necessarily, as in going out after work every day and hanging out with your work friends, but do you have a good relationship with the people that you work with? Did they keep you motivated? Are they people you like to be around? Do you feel financially secure? And that might be a no right now. If you're still in school, if you're just starting out in the arts, it's really tough. Been there. Sometimes I'm still there if it's a weird pilot season, or before pilot season, when there's kind of that lull in the industry. But it's not necessarily about right at this moment. at this moment, do you feel like you are on the right path to get to where you want to be? Is kind of what you need to think about while you're in the arts, I think, because there's so much growth that happens and you're constantly kind of on this uphill battle to get there. So just kind of taking a moment, if you're not in that financial place that you want to be, and this is where you're meant to be right at this, and you're working towards that goal. And does your work match with your values? This is such a big whole topic, is values, values and missions. And but do you leave work every day thinking like, this is the thing that I love, this is who I want to be helping, this is what I want to be doing, this is how I want to be doing it? So there's a few ways to create healthy habits in your workplace. Like I said, having some professional social relationships or having good relationships with the people you work with. One tip can be having a mantra, some breath work, keeping a sticky note near you that gives you kind of a purpose, that keeps you driven, right? Taking a moment to step back, focusing on your breath. If you become stressed out while you're working, if you have, you're on set and you just need a moment and you can't really take a moment to go sit down or something, just going internally, focusing on your breathing. You have this inner rhythm keeping you alive. Focus on that, bring yourself back, ground yourself. Ensure that you've got that work-life balance. Figure out your hours, schedule out your time, make sure that you're giving time to yourself. And making sure that you feel challenged and excited to be at work, finding projects or tasks that keep you interested, that make you excited to be there. And most importantly, if you're not at a point, if you're still on that kind of uphill battle, if you're not at the point you want to be at, just keeping track of your goals, of your values. I think that it's important to keep some sort of vision board near you if you're at work. Keep a photo, keep an article of clothing, keep a journal, something that reminds you of where you're headed, why you're where you are right now, and where you're going to end up. So my question for you now is kind of a big one. This might not necessarily just come off the tip of your tongue. You might not already know. But what job wouldn't feel like work to you? I'm very lucky that I get to act, and I'm very lucky that my job is literally to, hang out in a gym and talk to people. So what job wouldn't feel like work to you? What would make you feel excited? So reflect on that for a moment. Feel free to write it down, whatever you need. And now we're going to move into intellectual wellness. So here you can remember that the mind is a muscle, right? So the same way that we want to work out our bodies, that we'd go to the gym, we also want to think about working out our brains. Stimulating and activating your mind. So important for artists, especially actors. If you need to memorize sides, if you need to memorize scripts all the time, you need to have that skill. You need to have your brain engaged and stimulated and ready to soak up scripts. It's important to keep learning. It's going to enhance your critical thinking skills. It's going to enhance your time management skills. So important in any arts industry. You can't be late to rehearsals, can't be late to be on set, to an audition. Being able to manage that time, right? So important. And it helps you to form your values and beliefs. It helps you to think about the ways that things matter to you. So I made a couple little lists of intellectual wellness exercises that you can do. Some ways you can stimulate and activate your mind. So puzzles are so great. They are such a cool tool. They're kind of like going to the gym, but for your brain. So you've got crosswords, word searches. You can find apps for this. You can go to the dollar store and buy a big book of them. I keep one beside my bed, and I try to do one before bed every night. There's some arts ones. You can find a monologue and learn it. And maybe you're not an actor, and that's okay. You should still find a monologue and learn it. It's going to do cool things to your brain. Drawing, learning a dance, learning a song, learn an instrument. If you're an editor, maybe you want to learn a new software. Learn how to cook. I'm trying to learn how to cook bread right now, or bake bread. Because you don't cook bread, that's probably the problem. Not very good at it, but it's very exciting, stimulating my mind. You can take a course, learn a language, listen to a podcast, listen to a new genre of music. This is such a simple one you can do any day. Change the radio station to one you would never listen to. Just see what it does, see how it makes you feel, check in. And then I put here also, by constantly learning, you are also expanding your knowledge and skill sets, making you more valuable in the workplace or opening up opportunities to advance in your career. So as a fitness professional, I have to do continuing education credits every year. I have to take at least 4 courses to keep my certifications. And I think that it's almost something you should have to do in every career, is just keep learning, keep expanding, keep getting coaching. So instead of a question for this one, I thought it would be fun to do a brain teaser. So I'm not going to give you the answer until closer to the end. We're going to go through the 7th pillar, and then I'll give you the answer. So what is needed for both courage and a hardcover book? Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. What is needed for both courage and a hardcover book? So you can put it in the chat, you can write it down, you can tell your friend, you can think about it, and I'll give you the answer in a few. So we're going to talk about the last one, which is spiritual wellness. This is probably my favorite. A year ago, I would have said that this was weird and kooky and I didn't like it and I wasn't going to do it. But now I love it. So spiritual wellness doesn't necessarily mean religion. It could to you, it could to somebody. But what it comes down to is your values, your beliefs, and your morals. It comes down to your relationship with yourself, with the world around you, and just figuring out what you believe in. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe that you are on the right path? Do you believe that you have a path? Do you believe in the world around you? What is happening, right? Just kind of clocking that, figuring that out, thinking about that, meditating on that. So powerful, so good for you. And here's some ways that you can work on it. Journaling, meditating, defining your values, setting yourself a mission statement, like I said before, setting goals, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Taking baths is really good for your spiritual wellness, actually. I find it very meditative. Reading, volunteering, giving back to the community, taking a break from technology. So many ways that you can kind of connect with the world around you on more of a broad way. So your 2 questions here, I need 2 now. What is one thing that you are grateful for externally? And what is one thing that you are grateful for internally? So by externally, I mean, maybe you're grateful for your cat. Maybe you're grateful for the roof over your head. Maybe you're grateful for your education, your opportunity for education, right? All of these things outside of yourself. And then I want you to think about one thing that you're grateful for inside yourself. One thing that you give back to yourself. And that could be physical, emotional, any of the things we've talked about. Maybe it's that you're grateful for your legs, for taking you for a walk this morning. Maybe you're grateful for your creativity, that you've been able to create things through this pandemic. So just take a moment, think about that for a second, reflect a little bit, write it down, take a picture. So now that we've covered the last pillar, I hope you've taken a second to think about this. So what is needed for both courage and a hardcover book? And your answer is a spine. Ha, I love it.
I'm gonna jump in, Zoe, because Josiah got that like instantly in the chat. He was all over that.
Amazing.
Like, meanwhile, I'm sitting there going, I don't know, and Josiah got it totally. So
Amazing.
kudos to Josiah.
Snaps, I love it. I couldn't get it earlier, so that's amazing. I thought I found a real tough one. So journaling, I've talked a lot about journaling today. Deirdre knows. So journaling means a lot of different things. So I've said it probably 20 times in the last, 40 minutes. And that doesn't mean that you need to sit down and keep a diary. Okay, that seems really like a lot of work, and I would hate doing that. So there's a few different ways you can journal. There's a few different ways you can kind of talk to yourself on paper, which is really important, getting it out, seeing that kind of physical proof. That's why journaling is so beneficial. You're seeing what you're writing, you're kind of reading it back to yourself like a conversation. It's less of a one-way kind of internal monologue. You're having this kind of more concrete conversation with yourself. So you can find prompts. You can find prompts online. You can find a prompted journal. There's these like 5-minute journals that you see everywhere. And they'll give you things like, what's one memory that you love from your childhood? And you can be like, a roller coaster. And after a while, when you've filled out a few of these, you're going to see like, oh, I know a little bit more about myself. You can make lists. I love lists. I do lists a lot. You can list things you love, list activities, list people that you love, people who have supported you. You can make to-do lists. I make a to-do list every morning because I like checking things off. It makes me feel accomplished. You can do gratitude journaling, which is where you sit down and you go like, really grateful for my mom because she was really supportive during this whole process that I went through this week. I'm really grateful for my mentor for getting me to this point, for helping me through this. I'm grateful for my home. You can go through each thing, kind of give a little reason why. You can just list them, whatever that is to you. Kind of an expansion on that is 10-10-10 journaling. So 10-10-10 journaling is you write 10 things you're grateful for, just a little list, point form, 10 things you're grateful for, 10 things you love, and 10 things that you want, or 10 of your greatest desires. So I want another degree, I want to go to Spain, that kind of thing. It just, doing that daily, you're gonna remember what your plan is. You're gonna remind yourself of your goals every single morning. That's why that part is in there. Goal setting. Make lists of your goals. Write down your goals. Talk about why they're your goals. We're gonna break it down into SMART goals in a minute. Mind mapping. So if you've done mind mapping for a short film, or you've kind of written out your idea and broke it down into this little map of how you think, you can do that with anything. It doesn't have to be necessarily an idea for something. It can be just an idea. How did I feel? Why did I feel that way? What made me feel that way? What am I learning from it, right? You can kind of expand and break down this idea. Reflecting on something. So maybe something big happened. I'm probably going to write a reflection on giving this presentation, right? You can draw. If you don't like writing, draw how you feel. Doodle it out. You can write a dream journal where you reflect on your dreams, sleeping or awake. And then a positivity journal is one that I talked about with somebody this week, which was a kind of new concept to me, which was writing down moments that I felt really positive or that people made me feel really validated. And so I thought that was kind of a cool one. It's like cataloging experiences so you can go back and look at them. That's kind of my overall summary of journaling for you. So that's one tool that I think you can put into kind of your mental health toolbox. Creating a positive mindset is the next one. So I use sticky notes here because I love sticky notes. There are sticky notes all over my house, all over everything I own. There are sticky notes on my laptop, on my phone, on my journal. I like to write down, amazing, Deirdre's got sticky notes. We've all got sticky notes. We love sticky notes. So write yourself little notes. Sometimes I write myself notes on my laptop and I'm just sitting there working all day and I need one. You're crushing it. You are Zoe Glover. You got this, Things like this that just kind of push me that extra step, remind me. Affirmations, being kind to yourself. I said I was going to say that a lot. Being kind to yourself is what this is all about. Talking to your doctor about cognitive behavioral therapy is something that's really cool. That's the literal reprogramming of your mind to be positive. Journaling, meditation, defining those values we talked about, defining your mission. Who am I? What am I doing? Who am I doing it with? Why am I doing it? And just talking to yourself. Have conversations. I talk to myself out loud while I'm driving all the time. That's how I get to my clients' houses, is just chatting, being really kind to myself, understanding moments I've gone through. So defining goals is our third and last tool for our mental health toolkit that we're kind of building here today. So SMART goals is a way to break down and create kind of a timeline or a really manageable, attainable goal, right? You're going to see some of those words that I just used up here. So using the SMART, so SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, we can break a goal down. So for an example, I could say my goal is to run a 10K race. Okay, that's great. I can say that, but when am I ever going to do it? What am I going to do? What race, right? So you have a goal like this, let's break it down. So how can we be specific about this? So I want to run a 10K race. So I'm going to run the Beaches Jazz Run. That's one that's over here in the beaches. It happens every year. It's a real race. So that's my specific, that is the race I'm going to run. And how is that measurable? So I can measure that by, doing it. I'm going to get a medal. I'm going to get a bib. I'm going to get a finishing time. Just running it to finish it. And then I can also measure my progress as I train for that, right? Attainable, is this an attainable goal? Can I do it? Well, I've run 10Ks before. I'm pretty physically fit, healthy. There's no reason that I shouldn't be able to attain this goal. Is it relevant? Well, I love running. I love fitness. I live in the beaches. This aligns with my goals, so it's relevant and timely. So at this point, I don't know when the Beaches Jazz Run is. At this point, I would find out. I would create myself a training schedule, and I would put it into my calendar, make it timely. And now, instead of just saying, I'm going to run a 10K, you have this direct path to your goal. You can do that with anything, small, large, whatever it is. So just a little bit of a review on our toolbox. We've got the 7 pillars of health and wellness. So we talked about emotional, physical, social, environmental, occupational, intellectual, and spiritual wellness. We chatted about journaling, mindsets, and goal setting. And now I hope that you learned something, you took away maybe 1 or 2 things that you're excited to put into your schedule, put into your journal, put into your day planner, start to work on. And then I hope that you see progress as an artist. I hope that you see that you're kind of transforming and finding a journey similar to mine. So does anybody have any questions? I know that there's a box that I can't see, but.
Oh, I don't know why you can't see it, Zoe. I don't know how all the technology works, but there's been lots of stuff engaging in the chat. People are walking in nature and talking to their dogs, and Madeline shared recently that rather than journaling, she does it. Well, I shouldn't put it into words, but she does a voice recording so that she can listen to herself. Yeah, I thought that was really, really, really cool. Amazing. And we're all loving the Post-it notes. I held up all my little Post-it notes. We're all loving the sticky notes. And Sarah is just saying that, saying thank you, and that was really reassuring. You're right. We deserve to feel better and work on our goal setting and being kind to ourselves. Yay, Sarah! Yeah, absolutely. So don't hesitate, everybody, to use the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen, or throw a question in your chat if you've got a question or a comment for Zoe that we can share with her this afternoon, this evening, depending on where in the world you are. I found it really interesting because, of course, nobody knows that you and I talked about journaling before we came on, Zoe. And the story that I shared was that I'm working with a personal trainer right now. I'm trying to get healthy. I turned 50 this year, so like that hurt a little bit.
Congratulations!
And I have a journal, and I've purchased a really pretty journal that I think will be and I just carry it with me and I don't do anything with it. And it just kind of hangs out on my desk. And so I haven't quite figured out the journaling thing yet. And I think the challenge for me, Zoe, I think you covered it when I think I feel like it's a diary. And so I'm like 12, like in my bed with, like trying to take a diary, and that's not what it's about. And I think also the other thing that really resonated for me about journaling, so I'll give it another try because I really don't feel like journaling is for me, but I mean, is the no rules thing. Like I feel very much it's supposed to be a gratitude journal. And so if I don't have, what happens if I don't have 10 things to feel gratitude about today? So, like there's so much pressure. And so I really thank you for saying there's actually no right way to do it. Just do it however I feel that I need to do it. And then, like nobody's checking my work, right? So
nobody's checking. It's not homework. No, nobody should be checking your journal. It should be your own reflection, no rules. It's yours. Do it. If you want to like rip out pages and ball them up and throw them at a wall because that's how you feel, do that. It's what you need.
Yeah, that's it's and so Sarah's saying that there's a guided journal that has questions. It feels weightless like a diary. Yeah, maybe I should have bought one of those. I don't know. There was a lot of choices on Amazon, Sarah. I really didn't know what I was doing. I just picked one that looked pretty. So pretty seemed to be the best thing to do. So that was the other thing, Zoe, that I really like were kind of the 7 pillars and getting people to think about, that there's lots of pieces in here and that they all kind of come together, and we might want to focus on one pillar more than another, but they're all. It really feels like they're all kind of important. If we're sacrificing our physical health or our spiritual health because of something else, then it really makes a big difference in terms of our overall wellness. That there's all of these pieces.
Absolutely. It's kind of like a pie chart, right? Like you've got all of these pieces to your pie, and as soon as you take one of those out, something's gonna not taste quite right.
Yeah.
It was a pie chart analogy, and then it was a literal pie analogy, but I hope you get what I meant there.
No, but it makes sense. And if you think, but if we carry with that analogy, you can think about how, some people will have bigger pieces than others. And so for some people, their spiritual piece might be smaller and other pieces are bigger, but it still needs to be a piece. We still need to recognize, whatever spirituality means to you as an individual, it's still an important component of your overall health and wellness. And I think that's important for people to recognize that there are all of these components. And I also, as I think about the chat, I love the notion of a soup bucket. So in other words, I should stop throwing out things and I should make my own veggie broth. Like isn't that a smart idea? So
right, it's so fun.
And the other thing I put in there was the clothing swap. I think there were lots of us that thought, well, the swap sounds like a great idea too, as opposed to it just sits in my closet, or why wouldn't we do that kind of stuff? So yeah, it makes really, really good sense.
Amazing.
So no questions have come in. We had some, but like I say, we've had some really lovely conversation in the chat. I don't know why. It might be because
stop sharing.
If you stop sharing, you might be able to see some of this stuff in the chat. But there's been lots of we've been going on while you've been presenting. We've been chatting.
Amazing. And if anybody has any questions that they don't feel comfortable, putting in a chat, if you have something more personal you want to talk about, I'm always open to have conversations with people anytime you want or need. And you can reach me anywhere here, and the QR code would take you to my link tree, which has everything.
Wow, that's fancy.
Right? I found that out today.
I don't even know what that is. I mean, I know what to be clear, I know what a QR code is, but I don't know what but yeah, that was really, and of course, everybody, we've live streamed to YouTube. So if you want to watch this again, then, and pause it and take notes and that sort of stuff, there's that opportunity to do that as well. And I think what's really important, and I love the fact that I always love that Sarah comes to everything, and she's always engaging and always so supportive of these events. But Sarah's a BBA student in our Yorkville, on the Yorkville side. And so, this actually, although we've related it to the arts, because there are certainly specific things that arts careers can have trouble with, like being on set. And I remember being on set with my son who did background acting all through, not acting, but background work all through high school, and the food well. I mean, like, so, and just thinking about what are the choices that you can make, and maybe you don't need to, eat constantly at the food trucks because they feed you nonstop, right? So
Yeah.
how can you do that, or how can you manage your, there's so much scheduling inconsistency in the arts. If you're on set and one night you might be on set, it's an overnight shoot, or it might be a day shoot the next day, and all of these sorts of things where your sleep patterns can really be impacted. We know the importance of sleep, so it's kind of attending to all of these things. But it's still important for somebody that's not pursuing an arts career or trying to be an actor or a director or a cinematographer, any of those sorts of things. Like it's such important messaging for all of us. So regardless whether you're a Toronto Film School student or a Yorkville University student or a staff person, I mean, like all of those sorts of things it's just so important. I think we have a tendency to, we give so much and then we forget about ourselves. But it's that notion of giving yourself permission to be first and to take care of yourself first, so you're available to other people. So I really appreciate all of the messages that you shared with us today. I think it was so important. So somebody's asking where we get the recorded version. So my children are just, I'm sure, ashamed about this. We are live streaming Jada to YouTube. So does that make us YouTube stars, Zoe? I'm not really sure.
I'll take it.
So Jada, it takes about 24 hours or so for all of the fancy whatever they have to do in the background, and then you'll see it on YouTube under the Yorkville. It's a Yorkville University channel. So if you're a TFS student, this goes on our Yorkville University channel. That's where our live streaming is set up, and you'll find it under the live stream category. That's usually where they appear, and then you can watch us over and over and over again.
I'm just looking through the comments now that I can see them. And Sarah said, I'm really grateful for me, even though COVID came out of nowhere. I've been trying, and I think that everybody should, we just survived like 2 years of heck, you know?
Yeah.
It's been a really rough 2 years, and I think we should all be really, again, kind to ourselves and really grateful for ourselves for getting us through that. Our bodies, our minds, our mental health, like we really survived something really scary. And I think that that's a really great comment.
Yeah. No, that's great. Okay, well, I think that's probably it, Zoe. We're people are having to run, and it's almost 5 o'clock here, so it must be almost 8 o'clock for you in Ontario. That would be 9 o'clock for any students that are joining us from the Maritimes, or staff that are joining us from the Maritimes. So Zoe, once again, I really appreciate you giving your time and your thoughts on this such an important topic, I think, in day-to-day life. But as you say, as we're coming hopefully to the end of our COVID-19 pandemic, that has been a really challenging year or 2 years for people, and has really, I think for some people, it's been a really awful experience, as they've been tied in their homes and not able to get out, and suffering illness and losses and that sort of stuff. So I think that now more than ever, it's really important to take that time and be very aware of our own mental health and wellness. Like the saying, "You only live once," is so true, right? Like we're only here this one time, and so we should be doing whatever it takes to make sure this time is everything we want it to be.
Yeah, and you only get one you.
That's right. Take care of you. So Zoe, again, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for attending. For those of you that are interested, we're doing a really cool panel at the same time next Wednesday on military transitions. We're having a really cool group of people, including some TFS students that used to be within the Canadian military, will be coming and sharing their stories of how they have transitioned out of the military into civilian life. That's part of our ongoing series related to Canada Career Month. It's Canada Career Month in November, if you didn't know that. And in the meantime, in the words of our public health officer here, and how I always like to end these sessions, please be kind to one another. Take care, Zoe. It was great to meet you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.